We now go to the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Moran, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Promuter, thank you so much for your time today. I wanted to start out by talking a little bit about what kind of cooperation we've had across the globe with dealing with copyrightability of AI-generated works. Can you tell me what level of cooperation we are currently engaging with other countries across the world with respect to this issue?
Yes, that's a very important question. Thank you. Of course, we can't only look at the issues within U.S. borders because the technology involved in AI can be international in scale. The databases can include copyrighted works from around the world. The technology is developed by different groups around the world, so we need to think about the international implications. We are in touch with our counterparts in other countries. I've been to numerous meetings just over the last 9 months with copyright policymakers in a plethora of different countries. So we are trying to make sure that we talk to each other, that we understand what's happening and why. We are also participating in conversations through the World Intellectual Property Organization with other countries as well. And the goal really is to say, having a certain level of consistency in how we treat this issue and how we address the issue is going to be desirable. We don't need to have identical laws, but we should have consistent laws.
Well, I like the way you put that, because we certainly want to contain our sovereignty here and make our own determinations, but consistency certainly provides some benefits to our human artists. Who is leading on this issue? As you've been talking across the globe, I met with some folks from the EU Parliament last week. They seem to be doing a lot in this space to determine what kind of framework should exist in the copyright and AI space. Who would you say is somebody we need to look at for leadership in this world that we need to cooperate with?
Well, it's interesting because the Copyright Office here has become the leader in looking at the copyrightability issue because of our system of examining works submitted for registration. So a lot of countries are looking to us on that particular issue. On other issues, yes, the EU has moved forward with the AI Act, which I believe is expected to go into force later this year, and that deals with transparency issues and the question of providing information about what copyrighted works have been input into the machine. And then we have seen a lot of activity also in other countries such as Japan and Korea and Singapore, for example.
Let me switch gears and talk about the Copyright Claims Board for a moment. At the 1-year mark of its establishment, there were over 500 cases filed with the Copyright Claims Board. Does the Copyright Office have enough resources to ensure the smooth operations of that board? Could you talk about that?
Yes, thank you for that question. So far, the answer is yes. But we need to see how this evolves in the coming months and years. So far, the cases are coming in at a pretty steady rate, and our fears in the beginning that we might be inundated have not yet happened. So there's plenty of work, but at the moment we have a team that's large enough to handle it. We will certainly come back and report if that turns out not to be the case.
And speaking of reports, how are you keeping track of the statistics and the outcomes of the CCB cases? Talk to me about that.
A lot of data and information is publicly available on our website about the cases that have been filed. We're also developing internal charts and graphs to try to get a sense of what's happening and in what sectors. And we will continue to make information available as is feasible.
All right, and then finally, we've got about a minute. I want to go back to this NOI that you were talking about earlier. In August of this year, as you noted, the Copyright Office initiated a notice of inquiry to better understand the use of copyrighted works in training AI models. As of about September, mid-September, I think you guys had 15,000 responses. I know we're not yet to the deadline of responses, but can you highlight some of the key feedback that you've already received, including before the NOI?
I think what tends to happen is that we will get a rush of early responses as soon as we publish our notice, and that's what happened. That's why the numbers seem high. And then we will tend to get many of the much more detailed responses late, like probably right near the deadline. So at present, we are still going through the responses we've received so far. I think they have tended to be mostly reactions to the fact that we're doing the study and people talking about how important this is and how major the impact could be on their lives and careers.
Okay, thank you, Director. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman. We now go to the gentlelady from North